Hi and welcome to another podcast, Mark's Motivational Podcast, another Motivational Thursday. Today I'm delighted to be joined again by Tony Gordon. He's been on the podcast before. It's great to welcome back on there this afternoon. So Tony, thanks a lot for coming. You're very welcome along today.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been here, so thank you for inviting me again.
Yeah. We'll probably just start around talk about your new podcast you have going. You've started it's around parents helping their kids. It really is. Would you like to explain it, please?
It's called Parental Diaries with Les and Tony. It's available now on all major podcast platforms. We've actually just finished our first series.
It's very good.
Les is amazing. She's a therapist that works at a place called St Helens in England, between Liverpool and Manchester, and she specialised mostly in working with children, although she does work with adults, but she does some great work with children. I work mostly with adults and do some work with children, so we knew each other from another group, and it just became apparent that we quite the same mindset of how we want to help people, and we want to improve the parents' relationships with their children and children's relationships with their parents. So we realised that the biggest thing that lacks is communication. Is both of them talk at each other, they don't sort of talk to each other, and they don't listen, which is more important. Neither listens to either. You listen to reply rather than listen to what the person or the child is saying. So we give hints and tips with some amazing guests being on how you can adapt your language, adapt your body language, the way you think about how to communicate. And the second series will start in about a month or so, just over a month now, and then that one is more bringing more guests into it to expand on what we've done in series one, but it's also going to be a vodcast as well as a podcast, so it'll be available on YouTube, that one as well.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant because I've used some of the principles you speak about in the podcast. For instance, like what I do now with the kids, with Ryan especially, I get him ready every night to get his clothes ready, his breakfast prepared, and all that kind of stuff. And it gets him in a great habit, a great routine, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things I think we brought into it, was the routines, because children's brains, especially, all humans want routines and processes. But what we do is children get them from a very young age because we give them. And one of the things we never seem to do then is to structure how we get set up for a weekend, because a weekday, because that sets your day up. The weekends can be a bit more relaxed depending on what they've got on. But during the week, you've got to remember that most people still do a 9-to-5 sort of job. So not only get the kids ready, they're getting themselves ready. By just doing a few simple things the night before, alleviates all that stress and the screaming and shouting you get in the morning when everybody's trying to get ready at one time.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Thanks very much for that. And what's the name of the podcast again, Tony, for people that are listening and watching on YouTube?
It's called Parental Diaries with Les and Tony.
Great stuff. And you can find it obviously on Spotify and YouTube. And
not YouTube yet. The next series will be YouTube, but it's on Spotify, it's on Apple, Castbox, any of the major platforms you'll be able to get it.
Yeah, and have you got some really good feedback so far from the podcast, Tony? How's that going for you?
Yeah, that's been great. Actually, the last few episodes were all about questions that we got from the audience, people who are listening in who had issues, wanted us to actually deal with how they deal with issues, and some of them quite difficult things you say, because the topics we were getting from people shows how many issues that they're actually having. Because you've got to remember, parents don't come with a rule book. There's nothing to guide them how to be a parent. It's something that's natural in you, but it's a learning process. So the children are learning all the time as they grow and grow from you, but you're also learning how to be that parent and how to be there for that child, but still trying to have a semblance of a life that you had prior to having the children. So it's trying to get a balance, and that's what the whole first series been about, has been about the communication and the education on how to deal with these issues, and the feedback has been phenomenal.
Yeah, because it is brilliant, because for anybody that's listening, the quality, like the value you get from the podcast is great, because as you say, there's no real book, because I remember when my son was born, my eldest Luke, you're always learning from another child the different stuff you could have done better. So it's brilliant, it's really, really cool. And as well as that, are you doing something as well together? Or have you got are you doing this as well away from the podcast as well, Tony? Or
Yeah, we met up a few weeks ago in Manchester. There's quite a few of us. We all belong to the same group. It's like a sort of mastermind group of therapists. So
Very
there's
good.
quite a few of us met up in Manchester, about 30 something of us met, and it was fantastic. And yeah, me and Liz are looking at ideas what we can do off the back of the podcast series. So the next one, because we have a lot more guests, by the end of that, we'll actually put a course in place, which people will be able to get a course that will actually explain everything we've done in series 1 and series 2. So it'll be them plus a lot more interaction on how to take it. So we'll be doing some live ones as well, but that will be a course that will go into like Udemy or maybe Teachable, but it'll be somewhere that'll be promoted so people know where to get it.
Yeah, the best of luck with that. That's brilliant. That's really, so it's onwards and upwards, Tony.
Yeah, that bit's great.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to ask you before in the podcast, it was okay, Tony, for likes of people that are practitioners or helpers or whatever you people want to call themselves, if they want to kind of maybe start off their business, or if they'd like to kind of maybe do courses, can you give them a little bit of advice from how you found it from doing it, Tony, please?
I could be here the rest of the afternoon talking about that when you learn it. The one thing I'd say for anybody is doing it is never to wait till something's perfect. People keep saying, I need another course, or I need to practice more, or if you know yourself when the time's right, and stop putting it off. The world, there's 7.5 billion people on this planet at the moment. And because of everything that's happened over the last couple of years, the mental health side of it is such a prominent thing for people, because it's changed. There's been so many things, obstructions put in the way over the last few years. If you are looking to get into this business to do it, then you're in it to help people. It's not about having the perfect website or the perfect thing. They only come in handy is to actually promote what you do. But initially, as long as you've got training behind you, you know what you can do and you can deliver that, then you should be trying to get there to help people. And the simplest way of doing that for getting out to find courses, you've got places I've just mentioned too, Udemy and Teachable. If you want online courses, they're fantastic. But remember that a lot of the time, although they are great, they never replace hands-on. Because if you're actually physically in a room with someone and they're teaching you or training you how to work over certain types of coaching or therapy, you're getting that practice there and then, and you get instant feedback. And that's like working with a client. Because when you're doing that, you're actually in there. When you're in these classes, the majority of people are also there for self-development. They're not only there to learn new techniques. Those techniques, not everybody that goes to these courses or want to be a therapist or a practitioner. What they want to do is help themselves. So you're actually physically doing that at that time. So there's a good reason for both, for online for certain things and then face-to-face with others. Everything depends on your own budget. Face-to-face obviously is a lot more expensive, but you do get more out of it at the time. But again, online, there are a great practical way to learn things. Some great trainers out there as well. Have a look at it and then pick whatever. So you've got to pick what resonates with you. And the most important thing is, you just mentioned something, it doesn't matter about your title. I class myself as a growth mindset coach because I come from a background working with managers and working with careers, and it's how they want to learn or go over things. I've adapted that to fit around anything that people come with. Practitioner, coach, wellness expert, whatever you want, consultant, as long as what you do backs up with what you're saying, then people will come to you. So go and help as many people as you can.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice, Tony. Thanks so much for that, because it's really motivational for people to hear that. Because like you say, you kind of put barriers in your own way, really, don't you?
It's like the old analogy with the hamster wheel. People go around and say, right, I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to get this, and they keep going. But then if you watch a hamster, the problem it finds is it doesn't know how to get off the wheel. So the wheel keeps going, it ends up half of them it falls off, trying to jump off because the wheel's still moving. If you chase perfection, if you think about it, if you keep saying, I'll wait till I've got everything done and everything's perfect. If everything's perfect, where do you move on to? You can't go anywhere. So enjoy the journey as much as you enjoy the destination. So if you want to be whatever it is, a coach, practitioner, whatever, look up, find out what qualifications you need to work in the field that you want to do, and go and do that and enjoy while you're doing it, because that's the most important for me. Is you enjoy what you do at work. That old saying is, if you enjoy what you do in your job, you never work a day in your life. And that's what it feels like. It took me a long time to find out where I was supposed to be able to get here, But now I don't feel as though this is a job. I'm just there helping other people who also help me at the same time, because I learn from every client I work with.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah, that's brilliant. That's really, really cool. And can I just ask you as well, Tony, do you ever find a bit of overwhelm, like, when you've got a lot of stuff on, and how would you deal with that yourself? Like, because I can get that sometimes myself, like, so when you're doing a lot, like you've got a lot on, but do you have a kind of strategy that you use to deal with that yourself?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is therapist, coach, whatever you want to call us, we are the worst people at taking our own advice. We give all
Yeah,
these right out to other people to tell them how they should deal with things, but you don't.
yeah,
I did a talk on it recently. People call it self-care time. Basically, that just means care of self. So look after yourself, simply.
mm,
You'll get people to say you can literally go for 5 10 minutes. I'm lucky. I look at my window here. I've got the beautiful trees are blowing in the wind at the moment. I've got a little
mm,
field bit behind me and a little stream that goes along.
lovely.
You can go out there and just walk along for a few minutes. Even if it's like this, it's so blowy. It does blow away the cobwebs. You start to feel invigorated. You feel
Yeah,
better. That can be one
right.
thing. One day I was with some people the other day and doing a session with them, they took their shoes off, they stand in the grass and walk in it and said it helped them get grounded. If that works for them, great. Someone else went to the pub. He takes a few 10 minutes out, go for a couple of drinks, whatever, meets friends. That relaxes you. For me personally, most people know exactly what mine are, is reading and music. I
Yeah,
always reading. I've always got a book, whether it's on my Kindle or live books here. I've got so many books at the side of me, and they're all different things. I don't have one genre. I just pick whatever suits me at that moment. But
yeah,
I've always got headphones on. Like now, I always have them on, and I've always got music on. So I've either got Spotify or Amazon Music, and I read. And people find that confusing. I do both at the same time, but that's how
mm,
my brain works. So the music helps to relax my conscious mind, and then my
yeah.
unconscious mind can just disappear in the book and make me. So I get immersed in the book. It feels like part of it. That's my way of relaxing.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Tony. Like, because like that, like everybody has their own way to kind of, as you say, like, switch off for a while. Like, it's important, is it? Because it can kind of change your state, can't it? Really, like, when you're, like, when you say going out for a little walk just to break that state.
That's all it is. A state break
Yeah,
is whatever you do, as long as it's taking you away from whatever you're working on. Whether it's moving
yeah,
from, think about it, if you move from one room to another and you work from home, you're breaking a state by doing that because you're moving to another part of the house.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes even working in the one place too long can cause problems over. If you've got a laptop or a PC or a tablet or you're using, move it to another room. Put it on your phone for a little while if you can do it, and go there
yeah,
and go to a different place and try and do that each day if it's possible. Because as you
yeah,
keep moving around, your brain relaxes more because, we're not in this place anymore. It switches off the bits there, it starts a new fresh bit. So that always
yeah,
helps. But the most ones I said is find what suits you. What suits other people. They got a lot of great things and people post all these things that you can do, all these like going into the country or go to the beach. It doesn't matter what it is, as
yeah,
long as it lets your mind relax, but do it every day before you get to the overwhelmed stage. So you're giving
yeah.
yourself constant breaks. Book them in the diary. I do that.
Mhm.
I book breaks into my diary so that I know at that certain point, nobody can fill it. So none of my clients look at my booking system, it's full. And it just means I've got a little bit of time saying the music comes on, I might do some writing or some reading, anything that just takes me away for that little bit of time. But if you stick, again, it goes back to you mentioned earlier about the children and rules and structures and boundaries and borders. If you've got routine and you set it up like that, you'll always have that self-care because you're putting yourself in and you're the most important thing. You can't help anybody if you can't help yourself.
Wow, that's great, Tony. Yeah, thanks very much for all that. That's brilliant. It's always great to have you on, Tony, because the way you explain things is brilliant. Like, thanks so much.
No,
Because
appreciate it.
no, it's great, and as well also because it makes a lot of sense what you're saying there. Because what I find I do as well, I find I'm always at the same spot in the kitchen on the
Mm-hmm.
phone and work. But so what I try and do is, I'd move. I'd never sit there to have my dinner. I'd
Yeah.
maybe sit
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else to have my dinner, because if you're sitting there, you're thinking, oh God, this is so associated with work, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because if you think about it, if you have your dinner there, it's like being in an office and eating at your desk
yeah,
all the time, which I was guilty of
exactly.
a lot in the office, but they tell you not to do that, and it's true. Get away from that position you're in for whatever length of time you can afford to do it, 5, 10, 20 minutes, and just enjoy it. Another thing I do with clients is, because a couple of them can't get a chance to go and get fit, I get them doing Tai Chi or yoga exercising at their desk. So they can actually do review movement, just by moving their chair back. There's a lot of movements that you can do, 5-10 minutes, and that reinvigorates them. Some do mindfulness. We do that from a couple of times a week. Do it with some companies. You do just go on a call, do that for the staff, and just help them to feel a little bit better. It's just an amazing change if you can do that, just to get someone to take their mind away from whatever they're doing, and it re-energizes them as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's great, Tony. Thanks so much for that. Really, really motivating and helpful for people that are listening. And I suppose, yeah, so just how's your business going yourself? Are you is there anything else you're doing that you'd like to promote while we're on, Tony, today?
Yeah, well, I'm actually changing the business slightly. I do love the one-to-ones that I'm doing, but I've been starting doing more group work. I've done quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. More working with groups, so working especially corporate, so companies who have got like between 50 roughly and about 500 employees who are looking to actually get their managers new skills, because most managers have changed in academic side, so their leadership skills, situation leadership, they've got all these great things, but how to identify issues with their own staff. So if the staff come to them, how can they deal with that? Pure anxiety, stress, depression, what do they do initially to deal with them? But also I want to work with a lot more males, 45 to 50 space, but I'll take any age. But I picked that age specifically because it's the highest age group in the UK for suicide. And a lot of it is just for the fact is they don't know how to open up. And I know because I've been there, I was one of those people and I was in a really dark place. And that's why I started this journey 4 years ago. I would love to help other people that's in that position so they don't end up the way I did. About you mentioned about the overwhelm. I didn't know that's what was happening to me. I did definitely, because I had a medical problem as well as everything else going on in my life, and it just became a bit much. And it's something that I found difficult, is getting people like that to open up. I tried through all different platforms to contact through social media, and I don't get as much contact from them as I would like. I get more females who seem to be there. They are more in tune with their own emotions and feelings, so they find it easier to open up at times. But if there's any males listening to this, it's free. If you can see on YouTube, you see behind me, there's a thing saying book a call. It's a calendar link for anybody that doesn't have it. It's calendly.com/Tony Gordon. You just type that in, it takes you directly to a booking system. You can book in a free chat, half an hour or an hour, whatever you want. If I'm not the right person for you, I will guide you to the right place to go. But I just like more males to start opening up and talking, because you can lead by example. If you start doing it and we put this out, more people will follow. And I now work a lot with students so that they don't end up as the 40-year-old males that have the problem. So I work more with students to get them more educated in lifestyle skills. So it's working both, working with the ones who already have the issues and working people who don't have them yet to prevent them having that. So being more proactive with them.
That's absolutely brilliant, Tony. Yeah, and the best luck with it. So for people who are listening on Spotify and Anchor, you might just give your contact details again.
Yeah.
For people that's listening, please.
Yeah, so the bit I just said, if you want to just book a call, it's Calendly, so it's CALENDLY, calendly.com/Tony Gordon. Just type that in and it'll take you direct to me. If not, just email me. So email is TonyGordon@changingyourmindlimited.com, and the limited is LTD. So Tony Gordon @changingyourmindlimited.com, and I'll send you the link so you can book something in.
Brilliant. So listen, thanks a million, Tony, for coming on the podcast today. It's been great. It's always a pleasure having you on, talking about, and I wish you all the best of luck with your podcast as well. When's the new season starting? It's starting in
a month's time. Yeah, because Liz is on holiday at the moment and I was on holiday, so it'll be a month's time, then we'll start season 2.
Yeah. So again, if you want to share the link to the podcast, and I can put it up in the show notes for people to find as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and it's just Parental Diaries with Liz and Tony. If they type that in, to get it in any of the platforms, they'll be able to find it.
Great. That's brilliant. So listen, thanks again for coming on, Tony. It's always great. We're going to get you on again soon. Talk about another topic. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. Always a pleasure coming on, Mark. Thank you very much. And for all the good work that you do. We bring so many people on that help other people. So thank you for that.
No, thanks a million. Thanks very much. So thanks everyone for listening to Mark's motivational podcast, Motivational Thursday, and with Tony Gordon. So tune in again for another podcast. Thank you. Take care, Tony. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks a million for tuning in to today's podcast, Mark's motivational podcast. So I just want to advertise my new book. It's called Adventures of Larry Lamppost and Friends. It's a book I wrote for my own children, bedtime stories, collection of bedtime stories, and to some really funny characters in it that my kids love, so I'm sure your children like as well. Like there's Larry Lamppost, there's Mr. Shopper, there's like to name but a few. So I'd really appreciate it if you could buy this book, and it's available on Amazon. And if you want our book depository, so it's on Amazon UK and various Amazon sites throughout the world. So I really appreciate it. Then if you're in Ireland and you want to buy it off me, just contact me. By email, it's marklestrange11@hotmail.com. That's MarkLestrange11@hotmail.com. So thanks a million, folks, for your continued support on the podcast. Really appreciate it. So listen, have a great week. And thanks for tuning in. Take care.